What's up, you guys? It's IAmTheLionRider, and on today's episode, we are doing the Takin, something episode.
Yay.
I am joined here today with two new people. We have Apic. You can say hi.
No.
Oh, okay. And we have Dyl also, who can also say hi.
Hi.
Hello. Uh, so for once, we have someone who's actually been to Roger Williams. So that's a.
This me.
Amazing.
I
I've been
know.
there.
That's nice. So that's always a perk. And I should probably explain myself because I said in the last episode we were doing the Dromedary Camel episode next. So the reason we are not doing the Dromedary Camel episode is because I quickly found out in the last update to the game during the South America patch, they broke the Bactrian Camel model. I can't actually open that model, the Thompson's Gazelle, or the Beard's Tapir in Blender. So, because of that, I talked to Hendrix and Jesse and some of the other main Cobra Tools devs, and they basically said, wait for the next patch. So we're basically just waiting to get the Dromedary Camel mod updated, because I technically had it already done from the past, but I had to fix it, so... We're doing the Takin, or the... how is it pronounced? You got is it Takin or Takin? I don't know.
It's talking.
I personally say talking.
Okay, let's go with that then. But basically it lives in the, I think, Himalayas, right? Like it's like a...
Yeah, Bhutan, all that.
Yep. And it's like a weird goat, cow, antelope that lives there, and it's kind of like a weird mountain goat looking. I don't know. It basically it looks like a weird wildebeest mountain goat. So
Yeah, it's China's version of the mountain goat, and not gonna lie, it's not as good as the American one, but yeah, I can.
yeah,
I
but
think it kind of looks like a guinea pig.
it's weird. It's a
I
weird
get that.
animal. So I don't blame anyone for not understanding what this is, but it's kind of cool. And Roger Williams has them on their Marco Polo trail. So basically, I'm just using the Black Wildebeest model to basically modify it right now. It's not super advanced. I basically just had to make it really jacked looking, like it's just really inflated, like
Mm-hmm.
fattened up, and I had to modify the horns a little bit. But past that, it wasn't a super complicated mod to make. But yeah, so what can I say about this animal that's kind of special?
Right. I have big brain talking facts with me. Okay. Yeah, I do. Right. Okay. In summer, the Takin get in like big herds in like the mountains, and then in the winter, they go away from each other because they hate each other. Then,
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
okay. Another fact: Takins are actually not real. They are government drones used by the Chinese government to spy on their people.
I could believe that.
I can believe it too. They look fake.
Exactly.
um, yeah. So at Roger Williams, they have three of these guys. And they have a male, a female, and a baby who's really not a baby anymore. It's more of like a young adult. It weighs like 400 pounds, so yeah, I don't really consider it a baby.
I mean, Fiona the hippo is still considered a baby because they can market it easier that way.
Yeah, even though like it's full grown.
Yeah, even though it's a hippo. So
So yeah, the Takin is kind of in a similar situation where it's not a small baby anymore, but it's definitely a big one. Oh, fun fact about that baby. So this is the only animal from Roger Williams Park Zoo that has escaped in the last, I think, 15, 20 years. And it's the only animal that's actually injured a zookeeper in the last 15, 20 years.
oh, it's a little devil.
So, yeah.
Wait, out of all the animals, why the Takin? Like
Why-
this seems at least this seems like something that wouldn't hurt you ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I don't think it intended to hurt anyone. It was just supposed to some of the details of the story like kind of escape me now because it was a couple years back, but it was a basically it escaped from the cage when it was supposed to be transported to the vet for like a checkup, and then it somehow busted down the door, knocked over the zookeeper, and then ran 2 laps around the zoo before it was tranquilized. So
Wow. You know, to be honest, I think what happened was like they just like released it as like a joke on their coworker or whatever, and like just let it run at him and like open the door and let it run
I mean that'd be a big.
because they didn't think it was gonna hurt anyone because it's just a ball of nothing.
It's a big animal. It's not small. It's like 600 pounds, I think. So
Yeah, but like it's 600 pounds of fluff.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good prank. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's one of the most popular pranks. You know, in The Office, remember that part where they put the Takin in the elevator and then open the doors and then Dwight got thrown out of building?
yeah.
Yeah, it's memorable.
oh, I should mention I also used a substance here to just texture the Takin. It looks. I think it actually looks pretty good, all things considered. I think it's one of the better looking mods, and for once, this animal didn't give me headaches, so that's always a plus. Coming off of the polar bear and the penguin, or not the penguin, what am I saying? The polar bear and the seal, and what was the one I did before that? Like, the red wolf that had issues. Coming off of all of those, the Takin was a pretty easy mod, so I actually like it. It was a solid mod. I had no issues with it. That was nice. I appreciate it. As for texturing, I'm just trying to layer it with a bunch of different patterns. So I have like a grayish color, a blackish color. I think I have some blue in there because for some reason they're a like really weird animal. Like, have you guys noticed that? Do you guys remember that one photo that was floating around the internet of like that Chinese zoo that like spray painted a Takin?
Oh god, they
Really?
spray painted a Takin?
I don't think I've seen that.
There was like it was a weird situation. They spray painted it like green because it looks like, you know how it looks like a Dr. Seuss animal, like that's kind of what they make the joke as.
Yeah, kind
In
of.
China, they literally spray painted it like this like gross neon green and like red and stuff, and it like looked like it was like just weird. Like, it's already a weird animal, but like they made it even weirder looking.
I'm googling this real quick because I am very curious right
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna do that real quick.
Again, I want to see if I can find it because it was a weird situation.
What kind of green Takin? Let's see if this will pop up.
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. I mean, you guys know China. They do weird stuff anyway. Like, when they, like, what was it when they, like, shaved the dog or whatever, the Mastiff, and then called it a lion?
Oh yeah,
And put it
that
in the
one.
zoo. And then they did, like, they took, like, another one and put it in, like, a cage and labeled it, like, snow leopard and stuff. And, like, I don't know, China's just, they're weird. But, I mean, this is a weird animal to begin with, so I think it's kind of a thing that, like, you can't even, like, normally just say its name without people being like, what the heck is that? So, you know, it's a thing. Oh, I should mention, now that we're actually getting into the actual exhibit, I have, since the last episode, I expanded the Marco Polo trail a little bit, just because I knew I would later need some space for the Dromedary Camel episode. Specifically they have this interior building right before the camel exhibit called the Venetian Plaza, and it's basically like a little party pavilion. And so
I don't like it.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the zoo.
It's wasted space in my opinion. In my opinion, another exhibit could go there, but then again, I'm not the zoo designer, so I can't make that decision. But if I had like control for a day, that's what I would change. Of course, there are other things that need attention, but I don't know, that part just bugs me for some reason.
It is weird. It's weird. I think it's also weird just because of the theming, because the theming is like Venice, which is weird, because Venice, Italy is not what I think of when I go to a zoo for any reason, and again, the theme is like, because it's loosely based off of like, oh, this is the Marco Polo trail, and Marco Polo was the Italian explorer, and like, I guess that's the connection. And so basically they have a little plaza which is based off of Venice, and that has kind of a little Venetian, I don't know what you would, like, canal basically, and it's a glorified like wishing well. Like, like you just toss coins in it because it's like just water. So that's a glorified wishing well, and then next to that is the Marco Polo. I think they call it his boat or something. And then basically this is all just like a weird convoluted path you take just to get to the Dromedary Camel enclosure. So basically I'm gonna be, you know, building that later on once that mod is fixed. I'm hoping I can get it fixed relatively soon because even though I have a few episodes in between this one, because I have the Snow Leopard, Moon Bear, Red Panda, Red Crowned Crane, so I have a few that I could do in between, but I want to get that done soon. So Frontier really just needs to update their game. We know the DLC is coming. I don't know what's taking so long, but that'd be nice, just because I want to get that done, because I like the Marco Polo trail, but I was kind of excited to do that whole building, just because otherwise, I don't know, I feel like the Takin enclosure was just kind of like a little bit lackluster. I got to do some decoration on the side that I was a little bit more happy doing, on the sides of the enclosure, but the actual enclosure is kind of like another, it's very similar to the Audads, where it's just kind of a hill with some rocks. But I feel like the Audad rocks are a little bit more well put together. This exhibit in the Marco Polo Trail in general looks like it's 50% a well thought out layout of exhibits, and then 50% kind of hodgepodge of just lazy stuff. Cause Dyl, what was the last time you went to the zoo? Like,
the last time I went, man, it had to be, I'm gonna say 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago.
okay.
So it wasn't that long.
So yeah, I was like, do you remember the Takins or
That, I think my last 2 visits I remember talking. I'm relatively young. I'm 16, so I don't remember seeing them like my first visits to the zoo. The first visits of the zoo I remember seeing like the Audads and the elephants, and that's pretty much all I remember seeing. But the last 2 visits I went to the zoo, I remember seeing them, and I remember last time I spent a significant amount of time at the Takin exhibit because they are currently the only Takin in New England, and I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people just kind of like brush past them too, just because they don't. And it is like on the way out of the zoo, like it's towards the end, so like a lot of people just kind of go like, whatever. And they're obviously next to the moon bears and the snow leopards, which are like, and the red pandas, which are all like the big sellers for people. Like people want to see bears, they want to see big cats, they want to see red pandas because they're cute. And so a lot of the time, I know a lot of people just kind of like brush past them, like, oh yeah, it's a goat, who cares? Even my girlfriend like will sometimes do that. Like she'll be like, whatever, because it'll just be standing still and doing nothing. She'll walk away, and I stare at them for a few seconds, and the minute she walks away, I see them like galloping and stampeding out, and like they'll like climb up the rocks and stuff, and like I'm like, whoa, what the, babe, come look at this. She comes back, it goes back to sitting down. And then she's like, Nick, it's doing nothing. I'm like, no, trust me, it was just doing stuff. And she's like, it's fine. Walks away again, then it's just like, you know, being a rodeo animal. Like, it was... It's funny because, like, they do that, like, when no one's looking, but, like... Because, yeah, they are cool, like, when you see them, like, actually, like, climbing up stuff. Because they are goats. And that was kind of a shame when I was debating on what animal I should use for the rig for this animal. Because even though they look like wildebeest, that's probably the closest to them. I was debating using the doll sheep just so that they could climb up rocks easier. I think I'm still fine with the black wildebeest as the choice I went with, just because it looks good. But the doll sheep could have like also probably worked just because it would have been able to like jump on rocks and stuff. Okay, I actually want to discuss what I'm doing here. So, right next to the Takin, there is a thing at the end of the Marco Polo Trail, which is kind of a cult classic at the zoo. I don't know if you knew about this much, you know, since you live in Mass, so it's a little different. But in Rhode Island, like, everyone knows about this for some reason. There's like two things at the zoo that people like recognize about the zoo, and that's this little jumping segment and the copper dog statue outside of the gift shop.
Really? People like pay attention to the
They
jumping
love this thing. Every kid loves this thing. And it's like the dumbest premise, but like it's really fun. And I remember I did this well until I was like 8 years old or something. Like, and it's a jumping competition. So basically, it's a very simple thing. Like there's kind of like I don't know what the material is, but like a rubber-ish material on the floor. And there's a couple of like, you know, little benches for pretty much the parents to sit down while their kids inevitably do this thing. But all it is literally just little markers showing how far can you jump. So they have a marker for 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, and then they get to like 8 feet and 15 feet. Most kids I know usually end up at the 2 to 4 foot mark. I don't know many. I don't even know anyone who's made it to 6 feet, because jumping 6 feet is pretty difficult for most people, especially little kids. Like, but they're all like basically like rankings based on like animals that are on the trail. So you have the first one is spider, I think. Then I think it goes flea, rabbit, moon bear at 8 feet or 6 feet, and then, or actually no, moon bear is 8 feet. It goes spider at 2 feet, flea at 4 feet, rabbit at 6 feet, moon bear at 8 feet, ox at 15 feet, and then way down at the end of the path, like past this entire like little setup and stuff, they have a little thing that is a plaque that says snow leopard 50 feet. I don't actually believe snow leopards can jump 50 feet on a flat surface. I think that's a little absurd. I think that's measuring how far they can jump on a diagonal from a cliff face in the wild. I think that would make more sense. And I should also mention, what I'm building right now, I actually had to do again because I accidentally deleted everything. But it's fine
I was there for that.
But it's fine because I actually messed up here. I forgot the flea marker to begin with. So that's fine, because I actually got to fix that later on. But I'm basically just adding the little markers here, and they're just spread out or whatever, as best I could, like roughly, like, you know, 4 feet, 8 feet, etc.
An interesting thing that I noticed, I work at the Capron Park Zoo, and at the Capron Park Zoo, we have something actually very, but of course it's much lower quality. It's just lines painted on some concrete, and it's like, oh, this is how far a kangaroo jumps and a merleopard jumps, and animals that we have there. But this is much higher quality than what we have, so I think we should maybe up our game a little bit.
I mean, I don't even know if it's like higher quality, because it's all it is just like a little rubber thing, and they have like a custom sign saying how far can you jump. But it's just, I don't know, it's like a weird thing. Like, if you grow up as a kid at the zoo, it's just kind of a staple, and people just really like it. I can't explain it, because it's kind of the dumbest thing ever. It's just like, oh, how far can you jump? I just remember it's always just, it's kind of like a mocking thing, because everyone, like, I can't tell you how many times, like, if you do well, you get 4 feet, right? And then you're like, haha, you're as good as a flea. Like, or like if you're really good, then, oh my god, you're a rabbit. Like it's still not that impressive. No one ever gets the cool animals like a moon bear or an ox or anything. Because everyone wants those, like, everyone wants to be like, oh, I'm a moon bear. But, like, no one ever gets it. So, I don't even know Olympic people that could jump 8 feet, really. I don't know, like, does anyone know what the world record is for that? Like, how far you could just jump? Like, on a flat ground? Like, I have no idea. Anyways,
Probably not 50 feet like a snow leopard.
no, yeah, I'm making that sign right now that's, like, the 50 feet thing. It's ridiculous, because it's, like, again, I don't think that's true, that, like, if you had them on a flat surface, they would be able to jump 50 feet. But, I do know that, like, obviously they can, you know, leap a considerable distance normally. So I should also mention that I had to kind of modify some of the existing terrain around the area. You can probably see, like, there's a big lake. So I basically wanted to level it out just to be more accurate to the actual terrain. So I had to dig into the earth and kind of lower the lake a bit. And I might have to even do this with the wetlands trail, to be in truth. But basically I just had to dig down, replace the water, and then flatten this whole area. Just because I had to make, there's a service road that goes behind the Takin enclosure and the red crown cranes and stuff. And it's how they escaped. And I thought that was a pretty important thing to address. Because if part of one of their biggest stories is the fact that they managed to escape, I should probably give them a way that they physically should be able to escape.
Accurate escape routes for the Takin.
Yeah. So I basically just wanted to raise the area, the landmass space a little bit, and then I just kind of make a service road. I eventually replace it with asphalt, just because I really hate the Planet Zoo patterning. I think it like kind of looks gross from a distance.
Yeah, it's far too stylized. Honestly, it should just be like an option in pathing. They wouldn't even have to do another texture for it. Could just use the path and
Yeah.
like a little option staff path
I agree.
or staff accessible.
Yeah, because I think like in general we need more staff paths to begin with.
Mhm.
But yeah, I definitely agree. Like it would be nice if I could just use whatever texture I wanted and then just have a little check mark like how it has railing options and stuff like that. If I could just, you know, turn that on. We're coming up to the kind of end of the episode now. Again, this is me probably just changing it to asphalt. I had no issue even doing this to begin with, just because the guests shouldn't be able to get back here to begin with. And then I'm just doing kind of like some service buildings. I did a trade center, a workshop, because there's a little workers shed back here, and it's all literally just right next to the lake. So it's not a complicated building. It's literally just using some of the default pieces. And
Yeah, just a little shed.
yeah, it's nothing complicated, and it's just to kind of emulate the service road. And then past that, again, in a minute, you see me, I think I do, what's it called? I just do some, like, foliage and stuff to decorate the surrounding area. But, in the next episode, I will be doing the Red Panda exhibit. So, that one should probably be a short episode. It's not a very large enclosure.
Oh, the rad pandas.
Yeah. So you can stay tuned for that, and yeah, there we go. There is our Takin, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll have the mod link in the description so that you guys can check it out for yourself. And thank Eypick and Dyl for being in this episode, and stay tuned. We'll continue our Marco Polo trail in the next episode. Bye, guys.